Oliver is an ugly, disgusting nerd who became an orphan after watching his mother get ganked by a group of magicians. To avenge his mother, Oliver entered the Magic Academy while pretending to be weak. Despite being one of the strongest magicians in the world, Oliver's mother was very kind, caring, and she's very hot. She wanted to reform society to make it a better place, but she was betrayed by her best friends. Her comrades chased her and used several spells, making sure she feels all 128 types of pain. Luckily, she was rescued by her best friend, Emmy. Emmy took her to an underground passage, and then she backstabbed her. Rule number 1, never trust anybody. Since then, Oliver was adopted by his grandparents, who trained him to do a John Wick maneuver and clap that cougar Esmeralda. After turning 15, Oliver enrolled the Kimberly Academy, the most prestigious magic academy in the world. You know they're prestigious because they have a talking flower at the entrance. Not because he wanted to learn more magic, but because those who clapped his mother were teachers in that school. Vanessa, Francis, Enrico, Demetrio, Baldia, and Emmy, known as Esmeralda and the headmistress of Kimberly Academy, are all in his hit list. Oliver thinks about the promise he made to make the teachers pay for what they did. He makes his way through the gate of the academy and is greeted by a flower, who tells him that there is no business that can be conducted in Kimberly grounds. The flower tells him that the only way to get revenge of the fallen is to get a victory royale. But also, he needs to get a winner-winner chicken dinner in the academics, as only 80% of the students which enroll at the academy graduate, while 20% of them get consumed by their own magic. As Oliver walks towards the ceremony, he meets the side characters in the story and quickly engages with them. One of the students is a samurai who catches their attention with her attire and friendly demeanor, making them all stop and stare. Oliver wonders why he stopped, because the girl doesn't have that gyat. But they all stared at her even though she has done nothing. He thinks it could be her clothes or because of something he feels in his heart, like a premonition or fate. The girl turns around and rizzes him up with a smile, and the others before they all continue to the school building. They all arrive at the ceremony where there's a parade of magical creatures. A girl named Katie thinks that it's wrong for a troll to be among the magical creatures walking in the parade. A boy named Guy tells her that it's fine because it's a troll, a different species to human beings. Some trolls attack people, and some people tame and train them to serve them. Katie gets upset by this because she believes that trolls are kind creatures, and they're only aggressive because humans invade their territory. Guy argues that the trolls in the countryside destroy fields every year. He asks if it's okay for trolls to invade human territories. Katie argues that that piece of land used to belong to the trolls. Irritated by their Twitter arguments, a student named Pete stops them from arguing any further and tells them to take to Reddit. The two students apologize and let Pete continue his reading. He's trying to learn more about the creatures. He looks at them and compares them to the ones he sees in his book. Oliver tells Katie and Guy to talk about the matter later and maybe get to know each other first. They both agree, and as Katie is about to introduce herself when she gets hit by a spell. The spell is casted by another student, turning on Katie's legs on autopilot. Oliver, Guy, and Pete are confused and tell her not to run to the parade. However, she can't control herself. She tells them that she's trying to stop, but her feet are moving on their own. Oliver and Guy run after Katie to stop her. While Pete stands there, doing the Pikachu meme face, he's approached by a girl named Michela, who asks him if there's something wrong. Pete doesn't know yet, but before long, he and Michela notice that the troll is walking towards Katie. Michela hurries to help Katie as well. Pete doesn't understand what is happening, but feels compelled to help due to peer pressure and runs after Michela. As Katie keeps running, the spell wears off, and she stops running right in front of the troll, and the magnet behind her back activates. Oliver and Guy become increasingly worried about her and try to run faster. The troll gets closer to Katie and raises its hand to hit Katie, but a voice yells at it to stop, and the troll immediately stops. The samurai, whose name is Nanao, appears in front of the troll and asks Katie if she can run, but Katie can't. Nanao tells her to stay where she is while she deals with the troll. She brings out her sword and gets ready to fight. Oliver and the other students arrive with their swords in hand, ready to fight as well. They think that Nanao fighting the troll is not a good idea and decide to attract the troll's attention. Michela raises her sword and uses a spell which electrocutes the troll, but the troll absolutely mogs them instead. They decide to do it together, but Oliver stops them. He doesn't think they can do it at all, even if they use their magic together. Guy becomes angry because he doesn't want to just watch Nanao get hurt. Oliver comes up with a plan and asks them to use wind magic. He asks them to create a strong wind and target the troll on its head. Michela tells him that a wind spell only is not enough. Oliver yells that there isn't enough time to waste and they should just do as he says. They agree and generate enough wind. Oliver follows up by throwing in a different spell, which makes the wind form a dragon behind the troll. The dragon makes a loud noise, which Oliver created using a random loud noise to make it sound like a dragon's roar. The troll hears the dragon behind it and looks back in terror. This creates an opportunity for Nanao and Katie to run away, but Nanao is like, "I've been waiting for this chance my entire life," and uses this chance to attack the troll. She jumps, and as she prepares to strike the troll, her hair color changes to white, indicating her white power. She successfully hits the troll on its head, and the troll gets a severe head trauma, getting a medical bill of $78,000. Too bad he doesn't have Obamacare. After, Nanao feels like her hands are numb due to the skill she used on the troll. She tells Katie that she will carry her when her hands become better. She thanks the other 4 students for helping her by creating an opening and praises them for their spell, which she admits almost scared her. The entrance ceremony continues, and the students get inside the building. Oliver chats with Nanao, and she admits that she didn't have a plan when she stood in front of the troll earlier. She says that the sword she has doesn't even have a blade on it, so it would have been a hard fight for her if it weren't for their help. Oliver tells her that she was being reckless because if their spell had failed, she would have died. Nanao cheerfully admits this and says that they saved her life on her first day of school, which means that's going to be Oliver's girlfriend for absolutely no reason. Oliver doesn't understand how she thinks, but is impressed with the skill she used. He thinks about when her hair changed colors, which made it crystal-like, allowing magic particles to easily flow through it. It signifies powerful mana circulation within the body itself. So, basically, he's like Gojo Satoru, but female. After, the students meet one of the teachers, Garland, who presents the headmistress, Esmeralda. Esmeralda makes a powerful entry accompanied by her magic that leaves the students absolutely mommed, appearing like she just teleported. She welcomes them to the academy and explains what they will be doing there. The school's priorities are freedom and results, which means that if they die, it's skill issue. That's the reason why only 80% of the students manage to graduate while the other 20% ends gets wrecked. She pours a liquid in a glass to demonstrate a student whose magic goes out of control and destroys them. She explains that people only become crippled when they lose control of their magic and hurt themselves, or when they summon something that drags them back to where it came from. Some of them end up dead after going mad and attempting to clap their fellow students. These students are said to be so bad, they wouldn't last a minute in a Call of Duty lobby back in 2008. She then snaps her fingers to lift the students up and transports them to the banquet room and tells them to sit and enjoy. Oliver sees the other students he was with outside, and they all decide to sit together. They begin to introduce themselves, starting with Michella, the eldest daughter of the McFarlane family, and basically a product of nepotism. She asks her friends to call her Chella, and Guy jokes about her hairstyle, which she says anyone is welcome to faint upon seeing them for the first time. Next is Katie, and she thanks everyone for helping save her life. They ask her why she suddenly started running, but she also doesn't know why and assumes that someone might have been playing a prank. Michella tells them that they should talk about it later and have fun in the meanwhile. She asks Guy for his name, and he introduces himself. He's from a family of magical farmers and boasts about knowing a lot about magic vegetables that taste like meat. A vegan wouldn't know the difference. Pete introduces himself next, and he says that his parents cannot use magic, but he can turn into a cute anime girl. But they don't believe him. Michella commends him for enrolling as an ordinary person because it must have been hard to get into the school. But Pete is not flattered by this and tells her that he's not there to make friends. He's there to be a grumpy side character. He finds that Oliver is looking at him and questions his intention. Oliver tells him that he was just appreciating the book he's reading. Pete is happy to hear that Oliver knows the book, and Oliver admits that he has read it and liked it. Pete becomes excited and starts yapping like the acoustic loser he is about the little stories included in the book after each chapter. But he soon realizes that the others are looking at him fondly and become embarrassed. He then asks Oliver to introduce himself, and Oliver does so, saying that he has older cousins studying at the academy, and they're the ones who told him about it. Michella praises him for his dragon voice spell from earlier, and Oliver reveals that he's just channeling his inner Listen Al Gabe, and he's just built different. The last introduction is Nanao. She gets up from her chair and begins by saying that she was born in a samurai family and she only came to this school through fate. She explains that all happened during a war in her country. She was leading 200 men against an army for 50,000 enemies. She clapped many of her enemies until she found herself alone in the enemy's camp. She was going for the life of the enemy leader, but she was stopped by his son, the strongest warrior in the clan. He briefly held her back, but she ended up cutting him down and went for his father. She asked the enemy leader to allow her to fight his son without knowing that she had just killed him. This made the enemy leader emotional because she never even took the time to know his son and killed him without hesitation. Salma then decided to get revenge on her by killing her on the spot without asking for her name. He told his men to fight her to the death, and the men charged at her. But suddenly, their weapons stopped moving due to Nanao's anime DS. A mage suddenly appeared and explained he was interested in her talent and potential, and he didn't want her to die there as a nameless warrior. Nanao says that the mage was named McFarlane, and he's the one who invited her to join the school. Michela is surprised because her surname is also McFarlane. Nanao confirms that he also has a similar hairstyle. Michela realizes that it was her father who invited Nanao to the school since he's a part-time teacher there. Pete thinks that Nanao must have taken the same type of test as him to get admitted to the school, but Nanao denies this. Michela explains that it's because a teacher in Kimberly can recommend a student. This makes Pete feel embarrassed and a little jealous because he was not recommended. He gets ready and goes outside where he feels that the mana particles in the school area are very thick. He takes a walk, and reaches a fountain where he finds Nanao taking a good, old public bath. He feels embarrassed and uses a spell to cover the area so that no one else sees her, except for him, of course. He reprimands her for taking a bath in a fountain that is in plain sight, but Nanao doesn't understand what the problem is. She tells him that she's purifying herself from the war that she was in before she came to the school. Oliver asks her about the scars on her back, and she tells him that she got them in the war. He turns around to look at her and remembers a similar moment he had with his mother. Oliver tells Nanao to purify herself quickly because someone might steal his game. She says that she's finished, but then finds that she didn't bring a towel to dry herself with. This prompts Oliver to offer her his jacket, and she thanks him for the favor. Oliver thinks about how she is an innocent-looking girl, but her body count amounts to thousands of men. The students then gather for class with Nanao now wearing her uniform. Oliver can't stop thinking about her earlier in the fountain, because he didn't bring his again to riz her up. The students quickly go to their first class, which is a sword art class. The teacher is Garland. He explains how a sword technique called one-step one spell distance works. He asks for 2 students to volunteer and demonstrate it in a duel. Nanao immediately volunteers and Oliver volunteers when he sees this. The teacher brings them into a small ring where they will duel while the other students watch. Before they begin, Garland casts a spell on their swords to make them safe. This is so that the students can't hurt each other while practicing. If a student ever removes the spell to harm another student during the duel, they will be punished. Garland explains that there is no time limit and that the match will end when one of them inflicts a fatal blow to the head or the chest on their opponent. Nanao asks Oliver to have an honorable match with her, and Oliver agrees. However, he doesn't think he should use magic in the battle since Nanao can't use it. He thinks that he'll just play around, giving her a handicap before calling it a day, but when the match begins, Nanao immediately uses everything she's got. This makes Oliver realize that he's wrong for playing it cool. She attacks him, and he's forced to use his magic to escape her attack. He tries to dodge every attack Nanao throws at him, trying to deflect the attacks instead of blocking them, but Nanao doesn't stop attacking. Oliver thinks about how Nanao has killed people before, and how she used the same sword that she's using against him. He wonders how many people she's killed, but while he thinks, Nanao comes after him. He blocks her attack, and she mutters something. She remembers something about the place and starts crying. Oliver doesn't want her to cry. He wishes he could wipe her tears away with everything he has. He repositions his sword, and Nanao thanks him for his concern, smiling at him. Suddenly, the practice duel becomes a real battle until one of them dies, but before they can do anything, Garland stops them. He tells them to drop their swords because that's not part of the script. They ended up breaking the Kimberly Academy OSHA regulations when they cast it on their swords without intending to. Oliver thinks about what he was about to do. He seemed to be out of his mind. Garland asks them to go and rest for the rest of the class. As they leave, Nanao runs after Oliver to tell him that the duel was the most fulfilling thing ever. She regrets that they couldn't finish it though, and tells him that he should stop edging her. She asks Oliver to fight her again when they get the chance, with real swords, no lube, and no protection spells. However, Oliver refuses it because he doesn't want to fight a massive sword-fighting gooner like her. She asks why, and he tells her that he doesn't have to give her a reason. but he admits that he doesn't want to kill her and he doesn't want her to kill him. He walks away, leaving her behind, and she begins to cry, wondering why Oliver is telling her skill issue. During lunch break, the students sit together and discuss their earlier class of spellology, which was full of surprises. The class was conducted by Francis, who looked down upon the students and told them that the only thing mages ever need is just their wands and nothing more. What she wanted to teach her students was that if they ever called themselves a mage, they should only solve their problems with magic, as she demonstrates by conjuring familiars with her wand. Guy feels that the morning classes were full of surprises and wonders what will happen in their next class, the magical biology, which Katie is excited about. Nanao looks sad after the incident with Oliver and doesn't interact much with the others. For the rest of the day, Oliver and the group get to attend 2 other classes. The first is magical biology, taught by Vanessa, who betrayed Oliver's mother. She immediately tells them to throw away their love for cute magical animals because they will be studying them, not make friends with them. The second class is magical engineering, which is being taught by Enrico. The next day in sword art class, the students ask Garland if he can use a spellblade. The teacher had figured that the students would ask this soon, so he explains it to them. There's a specific type of sword art called a spellblade. The spellblade is an ultimate technique that when used within the 1-step 1 spell distance will kill an opponent without fail. There are only 6 people who can use a spellblade in the world, making them the strongest. There are many people who work hard to create other spellblades, and others who work hard to invent ways to defeat the existing ones. But none of them have succeeded. The 6 spellblades are a secret, and how they work or who can use them is not known by the public. This has led some people to believe that the Spellblades is actually just a massive psyops being fed to the public by the big magic. Later that day, the students hear a rumor about a labyrinth under the school, and Oliver, Pete, and Michela go to investigate it. The rumor says that the labyrinth starts to take over the school building at night. The 3 students reach the place where the labyrinth starts, but they find a dead end. However, a second later, the place transforms and the labyrinth appears around them. Michela is amazed by how the labyrinth has moved so far into the school, even though the sun has just set. Oliver tells her and Pete that new student getting lost. There is something that happens all the time, but they should not worry. There should be instructors and upperclassmen patrolling the area. They hear a female voice which expresses happiness that the students will be relying on it, making Pete excited and approach it. Oliver quickly tells him to stop as he sees a girl whose name is Ophelia. She comments about how cute the 3 new students are and how she could just eat them up, like an ovulating Fujoshi. Oliver approaches her and asks if she's an upperclassman, and if it jiggles, which Ophelia confirms. She introduces herself and grade, surprising the students to hear her last name Salvadori. A male student appears behind her and tries to hug her, but she hits him with a Denji spell, bringing him down. She asks the other students not to mind him because he needs discipline. Oliver introduces himself and reveals that he knows about her. He has read her thesis on the rapid development from interbreeding krakens and Silas, which he thinks was wonderful because it gave him shivers. Ophelia likes that he knows about her and emits a Dami Mami Riz perfume, which makes Pete walk towards her. Luckily, Michela stops him and covers his mouth and nose to stop him from inhaling it. Pete is the only one who gets affected, making Ophelia wonder if the others can withstand it. She tells them that they shouldn't be mad because it's how her body works. She emits the Riz perfume just by breathing. She tells them not to resist her, but Oliver refuses her invitation. He tells Michela and Pete to start running, leaving Ophelia surprised. They run through the labyrinth and soon find a passage where they are stopped by a web of bones blocking their way. A new guy approaches and tells them to give Ophelia some of their time because she is a lonely woman. He introduces himself as Cyrus, a 5th-year student who looks like he should have graduated a long time ago. He tells them that he'll take care of them if they don't like Ophelia.